Wait a sec, I just noticed the date is totally way old. This like I haven't updated the version or the defines in a minute. Shit. We'll just go ahead and just crank it up to 4 for no reason, and then we'll do 3 and February. Banner. February. There we go. Alright, let's hop back. I think I operate better this way. No camera. Even though it shows my camera still being like, yo, we still exist in the scene, but I'm gonna delete it. Just on the off chance that I'm a fucking dumbass and decide to click that shit. Alright, because then I don't have to think about it. As you can see, it's now 3 there. Let me pop the chat out so I can put it on the other monitor over here and then do that again for that other site. Pop that out. Okay, now we got chat over there. I'm probably not going to be doing music outside of the game today, so it's probably for the best. Welcome to Evil Dojo. We're just getting started. I was gonna not have noise suppression on and just like go raw microphone. However, there's a dude outside my fucking apartment blowing a fucking leaf blower. So I have to deal with it. And this is how I compensate. It's by having noise suppression on and get really close to the microphone. But I don't have to worry about how I look or whatever, how I appear on camera. So I am turning camera off for this session. Alright. So, off stream yesterday, I kind of self-blogged and walked myself through creating an environment that makes it a little bit easier for me to test what the fuck is going on with the shield. As it was previously, because I was operating in an environment where I was attempting to generate like a whole dungeon and spread out like the shields all across. I was spending way too much time every compile and run actually navigating through the dungeon to find those shields in order to even begin the test as to what the fuck is even going on with the animation. So to fix that, or to like make it easier to fix it, I made a way to kind of like switch back and forth between that and just like a square. Just generate a dungeon floor that's just a square, like I did in the very beginning. And now I have a way to like toggle those two things for the moment, because creating a robust template selection system for each dungeon floor was not what I had on the agenda when setting out to like work on new features. I didn't want to get sidetracked by that yet. As something that is to come. It is important, but not important enough for me to work on right now. So one of the next things I want to do, one of the things I'm currently doing, I should say, so we have this bug, and I can demonstrate the bug very easily. Alright, you can see that the shield is equipped. Now, all the animations, generally speaking, work. Generally. Oh, I know why that didn't work. So that's something else that I will have to fix. But anyway, let me rerun that. That's another bug. Alright, don't die. Alright, more important than those two things. We're solving this bug first. We'll go to those bugs. So you can see what's going on there. So it correctly worked for damage. So why didn't it work when you actually blocked with the shield? What's the storyline in the game? There is no story yet. But the gist of the initial thing in the beginning is that there's something that is at the bottom of the dungeon that you gotta get, or you want to get, or people have died trying to get, and so you want to get it too. I don't know yet. That is kind of an evolving thing, right? Like, the game is so still early in development that, it doesn't make much sense to like really form the story, right? Not to mention it being naturally a procedurally generated game. I'd like to be able to find ways to explore procedurally generating parts of stories, if not entire stories and histories. Thank you. I appreciate that. Shout outs to Krishna Palacio and Leo Paz. Krishna is responsible for the mini fantasy sprite asset pack, which is what I am using for graphics, because I'm not a pixel artist, and for me, creating graphics is kind of a rabbit hole that, like, my brain just, I can't handle it. But now I have access to some really cool graphics. You know, it's time to crank out stuff, right? So I showed off the bug that I'm trying to solve here, right? Like, I've been working on this for a few days now. We're kind of isolating what's actually going on here by the addition of some error messages. And what we'll do, or what I'm going to do when the game is running, I'm going to shrink the size of the game so that we can see the terminal at the same time as the game. So there's an example of that. Okay, so over here, what's half of 1920? 860. Alright, so like we'll do something like this. And the reason we want to do that, now we can see all the different debugging messages down here. And ideally, we get some feedback on, like, for instance, individual button presses. So as an example, at debug level 1, I would probably want to know when I'm pressing zoom in and zoom out. So let's, like, just as a demonstration, implement that, because it actually makes kind of sense. I'm a little bit, it's like, damn, dude, you got a fucking loud ass goddamn leaf blower there. Jesus. Everybody knows you got a big leaf blower, buddy. Alright, check it out. Zoom. Here we are. Alright, so now when I run the game, so we immediately get feedback when I press a button, and we can visually see this. So it helps kind of like step through and understand, like, where in the code something might be executing and when and under what conditions. So this can be very useful for debugging. It's pretty much just printf style debugging, to be honest. But in this case, because we're not dealing with something involving like a crash, it makes tracing a little bit more difficult. And we're going to end up having to trace anyway by this process. And so we'll be able to understand kind of like, and what my expectation is. Something is returning null in some place, and as a result, it's skipping some call, or it's passing it and treating it as like an empty texture, something to this effect. So, but because the damage sprite actually rendered, I wonder. Oh, I'm gonna be mad if that's it. Nope. What was the text? I got something printing out around that area. All right, so set SG 63. Then we call update shield. Right, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. No, I do not use Claude Code. Don't tell me to either. A lot of people use Claude Code. Not me. I can't afford that shit, dude. I'm on a budget. I gotta go with raw dog memory bank here. But I do have access to DeepSeek. I've got a few credits on it. It's not bad. All right, so where are we calling this function? Oops. Straight up. Okay, so we call it an update sprite. Yeah, no, that's exactly one reason I like DeepSeek is that it's super inexpensive. Sure, it may not be the fastest one on the market, and it may certainly lack in power compared to its brethren that came before it. But for what it is and what it's able to do, I think it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck about what country made what. It doesn't matter. That's straight up doesn't matter. It ain't about how many dollars you throw into a thing. It's about how good the thing is per dollar. And per dollar, like for what you get per dollar, I think DeepSeek outshines the competition. Maybe even some of the other Chinese models. I haven't tried. I forget the names of them. I think Alibaba might have one. I think Tencent might have one. One of them starts with a Q. I forget. Anyway. Yeah, no, for the for the number of what the young kids are calling crash. Yeah, Quinn's it. Thank you. That was exactly it. For the amount of what the kids call crash outs that I've had over actually attempting to vibe code, even with I've used Claude. I've used Claude API before. I've used Grok API. I've used OpenAI, ChatGPT, various different models API. I love OpenRouter. I think OpenRouter is fucking great. It's a great interface. The rise of fully autonomous or fully autonomous or whatever these new generations of agentic tools that are kind of coming out, and what people, the problem is that these people who think that they're actually building things, what they're actually doing is basically playing CEO by throwing money at problems that don't exist, and then thinking that they were so great because they made something happen. It's the ultimate in hubris and narcissism maxing in a lot of ways. It is fast tracking people to very hard realities. Did you hear about what happened with Moltbook, dude? Did you hear about what happened with Moltbook? Moltbook was a really big thing, briefly. You know what happened with it? Yeah, Moltbook was pretty crazy. And it shouldn't be surprised. Nobody should be surprised. These tools might be good enough to actually build proper, secure things if the person using the tool knows how to not only make it build the thing, but also test that it's properly doing the thing that it thinks it's doing. And nobody's doing that. They did start a religion. They started several other offshoot social networks as well. They even have a dating app for AI to AI. That shit's crazy. That's actually crazy. We don't participate in that nonsense. That's just young maybe late teen, early 20 somethings who are just they are basically tech's version of like TikTok Zoomers who are instead of like doom scrolling through their feeds, they're trying to like shortcut to the end of their life by throwing all their money away on all these AI tokens. Because think about it, like how many of these people, out of all of those people who are doing that, how many are actually getting a return? Like per dollars per token, like, you know, for how much money they spend on tokens to build stuff. How many of those things are actually generating revenue? I don't know. I don't know if we have statistics on that. It's probably a very evolving thing. I don't know, man. Like, for certain things that are just like really annoying to kind of do or stub out, and you just need to like get a bunch of it done like all in one shot. Certain tasks, totally great for. It's all about knowing how to use the tool, and a lot of these people think that they're tech gods and wizards for being able to like vibe code up like very large infrastructure. And it's like, no. The machine is copy and pasting from its own internal memory bank when you ask it questions and try to get it to do stuff. It's basically just really advanced copy paste. It's just like, where in database do I have thing that master asks for? Oh, here's what master asks for. And then we give it back to you. And you're like, oh, no, I'm the god because I made you do it. But think of how much more godlike you would be if only you knew how to write things for yourself. Like, if you didn't have the machine, what if one day they turned off all the AI data centers? Would you be able to survive in such a world? You wouldn't be able to generate or output at the speed that the AI was able to unless you have some sort of system yourself. And I don't think LLMs are honestly, like, especially when it comes to code, like the best or fastest way to like autocomplete common patterns and things, or to like be able to create some sort of dynamic LSP, right? That like kind of conforms to like your code base or whatever it is that you're working on. But yeah, what's up, Dulce? People be like, I built a thing, and then they're like, in parentheses, in small font at the bottom, with AI. And an asterisk. And then the asterisk has an explanation that's like a legal disclaimer. That shit's funny. I crack myself up sometimes. Okay. Wait, DD, no, do this. Okay, why am I doing this? Okay. Update sprite pre. Let's see. Then it calls update sprite pointer. It's actually calling set SG block success, and then it calls that current, and then the shield gets updated. I wonder. The bug is fixed. The bug is fixed. The bug is fixed. Maybe. I remember there was another bug involving facing the other direction. So we'll have to test for that. Hell yeah. Fuck, yes. Okay. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Okay, so the only problem was really I was setting the wrong sprite group. So remember, context is like what direction it, whatever direction the shield bearer is facing, the shield sprite group. Um, wait a second. I think this is also a bug too. We need to swap these two lines. So first we set current, right? Set current frame, set num loops. We update the current frame and the number of loops to 0. I don't have anything called reset. I'm not going to call it reset. I'm going to call it set current frame, set num loops. Current frame. We're going to call it actually 0. And num loops. So now instead of having to call that, I can call sprite2 at current 0 num frame num loops, and it doesn't even take a parameter. How about that? Oh yeah, so I'm pretty sure we had to set the current first, because if we don't, well, actually, I don't know that it matters. Oh, it like updates the sprite group's current variable, and then for that particular sprite, whatever current is, which is, wait, actually, I think we can do it like this. I don't think we have to switch the order. No, we don't have to set current first. But once we set the context sets, and even then we probably don't even have to do that every fucking update, you know? So there's like a lot of little things like this that we probably eventually get rid of and optimize during the actual update process. I don't even know what to say here. Set stop on last, blah, 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 blah. What have I done here? Let's see. Not really a lot. Clean it up. I'm adding the curly brackets back in just as a taste thing, and I'm also having else statements on their own lines, just like I did back in the day. Kind of aesthetically pleasing. Feels good, man. One problem I've had with the AIs is that they totally wreck my coding style. I'm constantly having to fight like formatting. People don't think it matters, but it matters. Trust me. I remember having the first public, professional discussion about like C code formatting in a workplace. It was a good discussion. Really got kind of told, what's what, and certain decisions made at the company, such as no ternary statements. So nothing like this. And, they gave a good argument for why not to do that. But at the same time, there is kind of a visual aesthetic appeal, because otherwise, for every single one of these statements, I'm going to have like 3 lines, right? And sure, you could like inline all of the if statements still. And even then, this would probably be like a switch, to be honest. Like, we should really switch on dir and then like handle each subcase, but then it would become kind of nested, right? And I thought that wasn't really clean either. So this is kind of, I've just left it like this because it works. And ultimately the point of this particular block of code is to handle figuring out, like, because the sprite sheet has 4 rows, one for a character facing like down left, down right, up left, and then up right. It is not too late, first of all. No, it's never too late. And it's all in the mind. So you absolutely just need to just dive in and start doing shit. I feel like, especially when I was coming up, and I came up like way before AI, like we see now, was ever a thing, right? I feel like even back then, even before tools like Unity existed, even before, you know, like Godot, even before any of these things, and I was trying to like really learn how to code to begin with, I felt like, especially as a professional, how do you decide long term what tool to work with, right? There's a lot of different tools out there. There are a lot of different programming languages. How does one decide what programming language or tech stack to actually work with? And sometimes decisions like that require lots of kind of experience and guided wisdom in order to make like really educated decisions on. But in the very beginning, for someone who's brand new, you really don't have much of a choice but to just like learn anything. Honestly, you just have to pick one thing and stick with it long enough. And, you know, sometimes the thing that you stick with in the very beginning may not be the best thing, but at least you have like a foothold. You know, it's like, so what if you didn't make the greatest stride on your first try? No big deal. Pick up the next thing and try again. And that's the whole point of like the tech game, is that you're constantly like on this quest to like self-improve, right? You're always looking for like better ways to like do something, but you can't know how to find those ways if you don't have like the primitive basics down. This is where people like me come in. You know, I've made a living off of helping tech students with problems. People come to me for advice, straight up pay me to help them solve their own problems. Even though there's lots of, you know, a chess person I was watching recently made a really good point. It's like, with all the free resources out there, why would anyone pay someone else for like tutoring or guidance or something like that? And it's like, well, because of how much information there is out there, it helps to have like someone who's actually been in the game for a minute to kind of be like, well, I can point you in this direction or to that direction. And here's why. Here's some resources that can back up my points. And that's kind of how it goes. If you think it's too late, then it's too late and you'll never catch up. But if you think that it's not too late, then you have to do what you can in a day-to-day, because it's not the kind of thing that you can just magically catch up overnight, right? Everybody comes into this thing at different points in life. Everybody comes into this at different, like, you know, levels. As they say, there's levels to this shit, right? And some people will never come into it. And that sucks. Boo for them. That's why we are always looked up to, or rather even frowned upon as appearing superior, because we know how to do things like code or do things with computers. And, you know, every family's got that computer guy. And then, you know, some families are computer families. I didn't come from one of those. It is really not too late. Do not buy into the fear. I think the fear it's definitely unsettling. What you're kind of experiencing are like the shock waves of a new technology. It's shaking people to their core. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's amazing how powerful this technology can be. But guess what? This technology wouldn't fucking exist without humans. All right. I think people forget that at the end of the day. And, you know, everybody buys into like the whole hype of like the sci-fi AI super machine that takes over mankind. And first of all, as if mankind hadn't already been taken over by smartphones. All right. I think people forget that smartphones exist and that they got here a decade before the AI. So like, if anything, the AI has to kind of pay homage to the smartphones and the high speeds, you know, fiber optic networks that enable their existence to begin with. And not to mention the fucking physical labor of the humans that run the data centers. All right. You know, if I were to get like really AI politics on this shit, fucking, yeah, no, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. I feel like that's how people should be thinking about this shit. And I'm so dead tired of the rage bait and the fear mongering. And it's so toxic and disgusting and bad for our society. That said, it's like take AI with a grain of salt, you know? It ain't no big deal. You gotta learn how the machine works. You gotta learn computer science. That's just, there is no way around it, you know? You need to know how your computer works. Like, you need to know how the internet works. You don't know how the internet works or how computers work. What are you doing? It's like, I'm afraid of the AI. It's like, do you even know how AI work? Or what the hell are you afraid of? Like, how do you... Oh man, that shit's too funny. Like, yeah, don't worry about it, dude. You're good. Like, AI, you're fine. You know, you got time to catch up. It doesn't take long to catch up nowadays. Like you have access to information, and if you're like a fast learner and you can kind of like invest large amounts of time every day, and you can catch up really fast. Like, your potential to catch up is self-imposed. It's self-determined. You can get as far ahead as you want to get. Where would our life be without the AI? It's like, oh, well, it'll just be what life was kind of like in like 2020. Wasn't that long ago. Not a lot's changed. What's really... No, really, what's really changed? Nada. Okay, so we're going to commit some code before I get too far off track here. I've already been rambling. All right, so all right, so we're gonna merge shield bug fix and then delete that. Then all right, so we just pushed some changes. And I think my dog's ready for another OUT break. I'm really happy that I actually fixed that bug. But that said, I did see that there's some other bugs that I gotta handle. So, in a little bit, I'll do those two. All right, let's get y'all set up with some with some music. I accidentally refreshed my my Suno, so I've got a bunch of credits again. I need to burn through. I've generated so much death metal that I'm going to make a super huge playlist and get it up for everybody. But in the meantime, I want some inspiration and ideas for other music genres or styles of music or instruments or things that you want to hear in music that you don't hear enough of, or feel like would be kind of cool to play around with. Very interested in that kind of thing. I'm not going to play death metal for y'all right now. I'm going to play jazz and R&B because I don't feel like we have enough of that. Enough chill out. All right, we're back for a moment anyway. I just made some tea, took my dog out, got some water. Did some dishes also. Set up. So I made my own homemade sweetened condensed milk last night. And it was really fucking good. And so I want to do that again. So I actually ordered some cheesecloth so I could properly strain it. Because even though I felt like I followed the recipe correctly, this is the way I like fucking around in the kitchen is the kitchen is a science lab. So check it out. Like, okay, we're down to 1. Let's take a look at where we're at. No. Wait. There we go. Yes, that was the bug that I knew we need to fix next. So if you attempt to attack out of bounds, at the moment we have an assert on 172 in dungeon floor. So actually first, out of bounds bug fix. Now, I've been very religious about applying assertion statements for a reason, because if a situation occurs that's unexpected, that I don't know yet how I want to handle a situation, especially during development, right? If some situation occurs and you know that shit's fucked if you attempt to proceed after a certain point, then it makes sense to hard crash, right? I kind of stole the idea off of a podcast from Lex Friedman, but it really makes sense when you think about it. So I thought, if I have my own kind of assertion system, if a check fails, I just hard crash, then I can detect things before they become big problems. You better catch things early rather than late. You know what I mean? So 172. As an example of this, the tile at, right? So whatever location is being passed in, we calculate like the X and the Y. And even then we could even assert before this, right? But the whole point is that like the X and the Y in the map corresponds to a tile in our tile map, right? Because the indices are sequential to the size of the tile map. So in other words, from 0 to tile size, if the index that you're attempting to access falls outside of the bounds of that array, then obviously you should fucking crash, because that's a memory out of bounds access, right? That makes sense. So how do we deal with that? instead of asserting, right? Instead of asserting, if index is greater than or equal to tile size, we're going to return null pointer instead. So now it's the calling function's responsibility to do the right thing and not be stupid. So wherever we're calling tile at, in this case, in the context of attacking, right here. This is the meat. Tile at gets called. Right here. So at the moment, our assertion statement fails. But now we're going to test it with the other one. So we need to actually check this, right? Because if we proceed off of this assumption, for instance, right here, then we want to do one thing, otherwise we want to do something else. So if it succeeds, then we do this, right? So let's step through get cached NPC, right? So this also makes the assumption that T is not null. If not T, or if T equals null pointer, just return. Right? Very straightforward. So that doesn't get cached NPC. So that returns, but then if t equals null pointer return invalid, right? I kind of want to see if I can inline. Okay, I guess we'll just leave it like that. So this would return invalid, right? So then, knowing that tile is null and NPC is invalid, so if target is invalid, return miss. We also make the assumption that tile is null pointer. Do that. The reason I'm doing that is so that I can kind of see if we even need this if statement. So regardless of what result is, we actually process it by passing it to here to handle result, and if it's miss, then it'll do its thing. So actually, I think we can get rid of that, and that. That seems like it makes sense. I died, fuck. Try again. And it looks like I fixed that bug too. Damn. I'm crushing it. Okay. If I wanted to do the other one, I'd have to do this. But I'd also have to make it a lot bigger. So we got two separate configurations, right? At the moment, we've been testing with the 4x4 with the one part. And what we would want to do up here is also be able to select like which creation function we're using or something like that, maybe for everything, or maybe not. Because technically, maybe like maybe different floors need different configurations, right? So like how we go about doing that, I don't know yet. But I do know that all we have to do to kind of make things a little bit cool again. So if we did like a 32 by 32 and we made it into like 4 parts. And then over in init dungeon, we use the maze generation algorithm. Let's see how that looks. Right, well, so far so good. Yeah. Might be time to actually add some more enemies back in, maybe. I have a sword also. I don't have a sword? What? Nuh-uh. I could swear I had a sword in it. What kind of sword? Short sword. Your basic sword. Okay, we gotta fix this naming thing real quick. So for instance, sword is named sword here. We're gonna move sword to short sword. Then we're gonna go into actions, and we're gonna move slash sword B to slash sword B, actually slash short sword B, and then slash sword F to slash sword F. After doing that rename, we have to run the generate texture files script again. And as you can see, those errors went away once I refreshed the file by saving it. This looks good over here as well. But I'm also thinking, because I've been thinking this for a while, in every single case, there's never going to be a case where I don't need to pass in the offset of like -12, right? For the way that I'm designing the graphics and the layout of this game, everything's going to be hard-coded. So if I want to do something like static, and to like make the code cleaner, static inline bool, create sprite group hard-coded offset, right? That way we could actually eliminate 2 parameters and do something like this and return a call to create sprite group GID keys num keys -12 -12. Actually has to go below definition, right? Yeah. Okay, so that means over here now, and maybe I want to name it something a little bit shorter, like create SG create SG hard-coded. So let's start with this one. So instead of that, we would do create SG hard-coded, and that way we get to get rid of -12. Similar here. Create S, maybe we just call it create SG, fuck it. It's doing the same thing. We're just kind of creating a wrapper, right? That way we can get rid of the -12 here too. And then here again, get rid of that -12, -12. That doesn't have to push as many things to the stack when we're actually running the program. So we'll go and change these over. Check it out. Oops. All right, so that's a step in the right direction. Yeah, let's do these two. All right, what's next? Okay, actually, all those are converted over. Okay, game state. Gotta use the new identifier. In the title screen, it's no longer, yeah, it's now short sword. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. What? Oh. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to swap down here, too. All right, just for shits and giggles. Right. Let's place like 8 boxes and like 9 monsters. Or 9 boxes and 9 monsters. this also gives me kind of an idea about how I should actually how I actually should be creating dungeons. Walls shouldn't even be a tile at all. They should be entities, or they should be constructs in the dungeon, kind of like boxes. We need our dudes to move around though. Behavior of the light with the bug or the dead bodies blocking the light. It's kind of interesting. Just watching it all perform, and actually looked pretty decent, even though I'm well aware there's a bug there. So we actually fixed the bug. Oh, whoops. Had a situation where Vim opened in Vim. Oh man, that's the crazy shit right there. Let's see how far I have to get y'all like a new. I meant to have y'all like something by the end of February. Something that people could actually play. Moment of truth. Okay, there's our browser version. And everything looks like it's all good. Got lucky there. All right. Well, that works good. That works good. So let's go ahead and push. I'll get a write-up of the current state of things published to the itch.io blog here soon. But I feel like now is probably a good time for me to actually eat. Been on for 2 hours. Actually got a lot done. I can't hate at all. However, final steps here, right? Why so much space? Holy shit. Now this, I'm not sure about. It's probably the music, right? All that music takes a long time to load. But it's up. It's a big file, but it'll run in your browser. So you should check it out. I think it's cool. And I thank y'all for watching me do this shit. I have fun making it. I like C++. I like doing things from a pure code perspective. And we're definitely like approaching double-digit number of people who have told me that the game looks good. Not to mention I get hundreds of views on my videos, if not thousands. So I thank everyone for coming to check out what I've got to offer, and going forward, let's keep doing more of this shit. Evil Dojo out.